Hi everyone and welcome back to the IT Hub. This is another video in the series of Food and Rum Festival SBA. And in this lesson, we're going to be looking at how we can build a database table in Microsoft Office Excel and import it into Microsoft Access. In our last video, we looked at how we were to create a blank database. So let us look at what we're supposed to be doing in today's lesson. We're going to create a database table called sponsors to store the data about sponsors obtained from the sponsorship expression of interest forms. We're to use a unique sponsor ID, which consists of 2 letters and 3 numbers. We should have the name of the organization, contact name. Remember, this is going to be split into first name, last name. You're going to have the person's email address, telephone number, and the HQ location. Remember, this was split into street, town, and parish in the sponsorship sheet. And you're going to use the sponsor ID as the primary key. The next thing you're required to do is to populate the table. So I'm going to show you how to use Microsoft Excel to build the table. We're going to first create a blank sheet. I have a blank sheet here. It's called Sheet 2. These sheets are temporary, but you do not remove them until you know that your database is complete, saved, and submitted. All right. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to start in cell A1 and I'm going to type in the field names that are supposed to be in the sponsors table. First thing we're told to put in is the unique sponsor ID. So I'm going to put in sponsor ID. Use the tab key to go over sponsor ID, name of organization, contact name. So we're going to put first name, last name, email, telephone number, and phone number, and HQ location. So we're going to put street, town, parish. All right. Now, having put in or created the field names, I realize I have an extra column here. Let me delete this. Okay, having created the field names, we're going to copy the data from the sponsorship table and paste it. Now, students, this is by no means the only method that you can use to create the tables. Some persons bring over the entire sponsorship sheet and then cut it up and create the tables. Not my preference. I prefer to do it this way, but of course, it can be done other ways. We're going to leave the sponsor ID out for the time being, and we're going to go ahead and copy the values from the sponsorship sheet. So I'm going to highlight and copy, highlight, right click, copy the data from there, go back to the sheet 2, right click, and paste. Adjust the column width, first name, last name. I can just go ahead and highlight these 2 columns, copy, and paste. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the remaining values, and then I'm going to come back and we will look at the data in the table. So I've gone ahead and pasted the relevant data for the remaining fields that were not entered, and I'm going to now show you how to quickly create the sponsor ID. Remember, you were told that the sponsor ID should have 2 letters and 3 numbers. What I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to create the 3 numbers quickly, and then you can add the 2 letters afterwards. So I'm going to start off with the number 1, 1, 0, 0. And I'm going to, in the next row, put 1, 0, 1. Now, I'm going to highlight the 2 cells and fill. Also fill. And there it has created 3 numbers for me quickly. All I need to do after that is to put in the two letters, which I'm going to use the initial letters for the company. So for the first one, I put BI for Barita Investments. For Burger King, I'm going to put BK, Digital Jamaica, DJ. I'm going to complete that and come back with the data entry. Now you can see how my table is going to be laid out in the database. I'm just going to rename the sheet and call it sponsor table. And this will represent my sponsor table in the database. I'm now going to show you how we move over from the spreadsheet to the Microsoft Access database and how we import this table into the Access database. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my Access database. The table one is still there. I'm going to right click on the tab for table one and I'm going to click close. So I don't need that table, so I get rid of it. The next thing to do is to click on the, you would have normally been in the home tab, click on the external tab, and in the import and link group, you're going to click on Excel. Once you click on Excel, you're going to click on the browse button and you're going to search for the folder wherever you saved your Excel file. Search for that folder, select the Excel file, click open, then click OK. You're going to now look to see which one of the tables or which one of the sheet has the sponsorship table. I had actually named my sponsor table so it will be easy to pick up, so I click on it. And there is the data that I'm bringing over. I click next. I select the box that says first row contains column headings. So it will make the top row the field names in my table. And I click next. It's now asking me about the different data types and stuff. I'm going to select that later on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click next. It's asking me if I want to allow access to other primary key. I want to choose my own primary key. I'm going to choose my own primary key. So I click on that and the sponsor ID comes up. That's the one I want to use. If you do not choose this, access is going to create as an additional column and use it as a primary key. We don't want that. So choose your own primary key and then select which field you want. In this case, it is a sponsor ID, which was pre-selected. Then click next. If it happens that you have a table, generally speaking, that you don't want a primary key in that table, then you'd have selected no primary key, but that does not apply in this case. So I click next. I call my table sponsors, as was indicated, and I click finish. I do not want to save the import steps, so I click close. And your sponsors table will appear in the left-hand panel under all access objects. Now, when you double click on the sponsors table, you will see that all the data is now in the table. You didn't have to create the table in Access and then type it in piece by piece. It's already there. The only thing that is left for you now to do is to right click on the sponsors tab or go to the home tab and go to view and data sheet view, design view, sorry. And you're going to set the data types for each of the different field names in the sponsor table. So these can remain. I don't see anywhere that you need to change the data type. These can all remain as short text. There's no calculation being done, but we can change the field size and we can add a description. So I'm going to type sponsorship or sponsor identification. I spelled that incorrectly. Number. I'm going to set the field size to 5. Remember, it's supposed to be 5 so that you do not enter more than what you're supposed to enter. The field size is found under the general tab at the lower end of your screen. Now for the name of the organization, I'm going to click on that. We're going to leave that short text, but we're going to, and please note students that the field size for short text is 255 characters. We're going to set it to 50. We're going to select first name. We're going to, for the contact name, we're going to put 25 for first name, 25 for last name. without anybody's name is so long, but that will ensure that you won't have a situation where it is too short. For the email address, I'm going to put 50 characters. For the telephone number, I'm going to put 11, because normally the format is you type 876 for Jamaica, 876, that's 3, and then the area code, say 456, that would be 6, and then you'd have had your exchange, which is the next 4 digits. So 4 digits plus 3, that's 7, and 3, 10. But I'll just leave it at 11 for the time being. I'm going to also do the street, and for the street now, we're going to set the street, town, and parish to 25 each. If you wanted your telephone number to be in the format of open bracket 876, close bracket, dash, and the whole works, you will have to now create that that option for you to have the numbers. I'm just going to double check though to see how many characters I have. I have 3 and 3, 6, and 4, 10, 11, 12. So I will have to go back and change my field size to 12 for the telephone number, because if I don't change it to 12, it's going to cut off a piece of one of the numbers, all the numbers, and I don't want it to do that. All right. So the street, the town, and the parish have been set. And I'm going to, but it had already selected sponsor ID as a primary key, so I don't need to make any change to that. And that, students, really is your sponsor table. You click on the save icon to save. It says some data may be lost. The size of one of or more fields has been changed to a shorter size. If data is lost, validation rules may be violated as a result. Do you wish to continue? Let me just close this to just double check to make sure that I don't have anything that is too big that may become truncated or cut off. All right, so I'm looking at the different things and I'm not seeing where I would have an issue. The only one that I would have had an issue before would have been with the telephone number. And as I double checked, I have 3 and 3, 6, and 4, 10, and the 2 additional dashes would make the 12. So should be fine. I'm gonna go back and just save and say yes. And I'm going to change the view now. I can click here, click on the view icon, and go back to the datasheet view. The datasheet view will now give you the view for the table with all the data. And you can double click just as in Excel between the column names if you want to be able to view the entire data. You don't have to, but you can. And here, students, is a sponsors table completed. If you found the video useful, share it with your friends, like it, give it up a nice thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed to the IT Hub, what are you waiting for? Click on the subscribe button and hit the notification bell for more awesome and informative videos.